Alikho elingashoni indaba zalo. Today let's talk about the 350,000 chickens lezizifile lapha eMpumalanga. Why is this important? Because this farm is sponsored by taxpayers' money. Then let's talk about economic research. Bathina Moody and the rating agencies. New forecast came out yesterday. We're going to talk about that, and Utino Ramaphosa with the new growth focus. There's something very interesting about employment equity law. EDA is saying something very interesting there. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about that too. We're going to talk about MTN pushing for 4G, offering low-cost data. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's talk about the daybreak farm in Mpumalanga. It's a disaster. 350,000 chickens starved to death. But why are we so interested in this? Is this just any farm? No, this is not just any farm. Daybreak Farm is funded by the Public Investment Corporation, PIC, through taxpayers' money. Yes, the parliament have released a statement ukuthi they will summon the state pension fund manager to come and explain why the poultry farm is failing. Yes, he will come to parliament, he will talk right, but he's definitely gonna walk left like they always do. I guess a chicken can cost anything from 12 rands to 20 bucks. So now we are talking about 4.2 million to 7 million. Now that's before the feed and maintenance cost. Before the chicken died, they were being fed. So the feed cost, we don't know how much that would be. The operation cost of running that farm, paying salaries, electricity, and everything, we don't know how much that would be. Let's talk about the local cost and consequences that comes along with this. We don't know how that is going to be. But now you can see that the cost is easily going to go beyond 10 million rands for the what, for the why. Labantu sebehlulwa ukondla izinkukhu. Biyini inkukhu? Uyifita umqhakazi, uyinika amanzi, uyikhanyisela ugesi, uclean izitshibhile. Ebadlala ngathi laba. Abakwa SPCA bathi bafike libhubha. Many of the chickens were still alive but had holes in their bodies from being cannibalized by other chickens. You could see their internal organs. Well, they already filed amaphepha enkantolo. And who's going to pay for the lawsuit? You and me. Akukho nkukhu ezoxhelwa apha. Awachithwe lamanzi ayikho le nkukhu. Let's take an aerial view of the economy. What has been happening over the past few days and what has been happening with the current government leadership. What are the rating agencies saying about our economy? What are the forecast? Bathini? Babonisa ukwenzakalani? The hope for economic growth in South Africa has taken another knock. Rating agencies, Moody and Bureau for Economic Research, have both slashed their growth focus for 2025, joining inqwaba yamanye ama-local agencies abathi no, izinto ziyabheda. Global financial experts who sees times ahead. Yibo laba bathi kuyabheda. Forget the dream of big growth to fight unemployment and close the wealth gap. The train seems to be moving in reverse. Mr. Ramaphosa's 3% GDP growth target under the new government of national you-know-what. Like at this rate, it's more like a fairy tale. Moody now expects us to grow by 1.5 in 2025, down from their previous prediction of 1.7. Well, that's a whole 0.2% down the drain. The president unveiled new reforms to stimulate growth, focusing on fixing municipalities and adopting digital technology. Well, they talk about reforms, but we see no change. It's like putting a plaster on a bullet wound. You still bleed. South Africa asilingani, especially in the workplace. A black child is not seen as equivalent to a white employee performing the same duties, an Indian employee, even a colored employee. Well, We have given the ANC over 32 years to try and bridge the gap, to try and bring about equality. Yes, they are trying, but they are moving at a snail pace. In 2022, they passed the Employment Equity Amendment Act, which came into effect on the 1st of January 2025, which aims to promote diversity and equality in the workplace. Well, guess what? Yesterday, the court party, Democratic Alliance, decided to take this Amendment Act into court and challenge it. On Wednesday, the Democratic Alliance went into court to challenge the new employment equity legislation, which sets out a number or a target for a number of non-white people that can be employed in a company. Their argument: they say that this new law violates anti-discrimination clauses in the Constitution and gives states too much regulatory power. What do you want? This is our country. The truth is, let me rather say, the fact is South African companies are still dominated by white people at the top. Again, somebody please correct me or tell me, where do these people go to study? Because we don't see them at UJ, we don't see them at DUT, we don't see them at UKZN, we don't see them in TVET colleges, but they occupy top positions in these companies, with black employees mainly occupying lower level roles. Unemployment is much higher amongst black citizens. You hardly see a white unemployed person. Why? Yes, we know the ANC supports this law. We know the other GNU partners also supports this law. We also know that they talk right and walk left. Well, the question remains, is this real transformation or just another political game? The youth need real opportunities. No more empty promises. Isikhathele. All right, let's talk about MTN, the yellow brand. I think MTN is coming through with some big moves. MTN South Africa is rolling out low-cost smartphone to over 1.2 million prepaid customers who are still stuck or still using 2G and 3G. Their ultimate goal basically is to push everyone from 2G or 3G to 4G before the complete shutdown in 2027. Basically, what they are saying is, come on, my customers, we want you online, fast, clean, and sharp. Why do I think this is a great move? Well, emalokishini, emakhaya, people are struggling to get access to the faster internet. So with this move, abantu basemakhaya bazothola network fast. What that means is everyone who's been left behind on the digital revolution can catch up. Bakwazi ukustreama, they'll be able to start their businesses, they'll be able to learn, they'll be able to upanda and work. Look, there's a lot of things that you can do over the internet with the smartphone. You are only limited by your imagination. This is not just about Facebook and TikTok, guys. This is about putting real tools in the hands of the youth. Access to 4G means access to information, job, education, and new ways to secure the bag, get the coins. Hold up, before we all get too excited, let's ask the real questions. Siyahlahlela. Are these phones affordable? Of course. Kwa MTN batazoba 99 rands. That's great. But there's another issue, a coverage. 4G, I'm not sure whether they have a coverage of 4G emakhaya nasemalokishini. Well, I think they've already looked into that. But the biggest problem is that I'm gonna get a smartphone, a 4G, but what the use of having a smartphone, a 4G, ngingenayo data? You know, you can't celebrate the cake if you're still starving. A phone with 4G that you can't afford to load data on, well, that's like having a fridge with no electricity. The data, guys, needs attention. My final take, Is this worth celebrating? Yes, it is. It is a step in the right direction, but only if it is backed up by affordable data. Guys, data is very expensive. Then again, it requires proper network coverage, especially emakhaya nasemalokishini. Network is a problem. And most importantly, real digital education. People need to be educated on how to use the current network and tap into the AI space and be able to make a living. Otherwise, it is another flashy rollout that leaves the same people behind if they are not educated. MTN is making a great play, but the question is, will this benefit the youth, or are we just being sold another dream with a new SIM card? We have come to an end of today's episode. From starving chickens to starving economy, Mzansi is in crisis. But we, the youth, have the power to demand change. Let's not talk, let's act. If you enjoy this kind of content, please subscribe. Help us do better.